The top stories tonight in Y News. The frontliners in the education and transport sectors will be vaccinated after the ongoing inoculation of seniors and people with comorbidities.
A second hospital has received the go signal to use anti-parasitic drug ivermectin on its COVID-19 patients.
Former President Joseph Estrada was brought back to intensive care after doctors discovered a bacterial lung infection. The Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission has started its investigation on thousands of complaints on the government's cash aid distribution.
Severe tropical storm Bising intensified into a typhoon as it threatens to bring strong winds and heavy rains in the eastern Visayas and Bicol.
And Google Earth shows how the Earth changed in the last 37 years. Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Cubao, Quezon City. Today is Friday, April 16, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. Frontliners in the education and transport sectors, among others, are next in line to be prioritized for the government's vaccination program. Rosa Licos details why.
The Interagency Task Force Against COVID-19 has approved the updated list of Priority A4 of the National COVID-19 Vaccine Deployment Plan. This includes workers of more industries and sectors in the media, food and beverage, pharmaceutical, and transportation. Priority Group A4 includes sectors and industries in transportation, market, delivery services, manufacturing of food, beverage, medical and pharmaceutical products, frontliners in private and government financial services, hotels and accommodation establishments. Also included are religious leaders, security personnel in priority industries, frontline workers in private and government news media, frontline workers in telecoms, cable, internet service providers, electricity and water distribution utilities, frontliner personnel in basic and higher education institutions, and overseas Filipino workers. Apart from this, frontline workers in the law and justice, security, social protection sectors, and frontliners in other industries and sectors are also in the A4. Currently, those in the A1 or health workers, A2 or senior citizens, and A3 or those with health conditions can avail the COVID-19 vaccines in the country. The government is still struggling to secure COVID-19 vaccine supplies as the country is hammered by COVID-19 surge driven by virus variants. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The government is looking into some countries who are willing to share their excess COVID-19 vaccine doses to the Philippines. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
More than 80% of the world's COVID-19 vaccine supply has been already bought by the richest countries that represents 14% of the global population. It includes the United Kingdom, the United States, and countries who are member of the European Union. The Philippines, meanwhile, is one of the many countries who are struggling to secure supply of vaccines. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. says they are doing all possible means to access more vaccines.
We are looking forward, tinitingnan natin kung anong countries ang mga may extra doses so that we can gain access with them once the country already finished their inoculation.
Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said that President Duterte might also talk with India Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the vaccine supply.
Wala pong immediate schedule na available pero nabanggit na po dati ng ating Pangulo, si President Modi, dahil isa rin po yan na major source of ating vaccines.
According to a timeline from Galvez, a total of 5.5 million vaccines are expected to arrive in April. 2 million doses will be the CoronaVac vaccines of Sinovac Biotech. Another 3 million doses will be the Sputnik V vaccines of the Russian vaccine maker Gamaleya Research Institute of Epidemiology. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Philippines has resumed the use of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine following a review by health experts. Meanwhile, another hospital gets a special permit to use ivermectin in the treatment of COVID-19. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The benefits of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines to prevent severe COVID-19 infection still outweigh the blood clotting incidents in other countries. This is the reason why, after the thorough study of experts, the Food and Drug Administration has given a go signal to resume the use of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines on 60 years old below. Currently, the Health Department is crafting guidelines on its administration and even monitoring on vaccinees.
Kailangan yung mga vaccinator alam nila na may possibility na merong mangyayari na ganito, although very rare. Pero din yung mga mababakunahan, kailangan ma-recognize nila yung symptoms para makakonsulta agad. Ganon din naman ang DOH. Kailangan din natin i-consultahin yung mga spesyalista para gumawa ng treatment protocol para dito. Kung merong taong makita na mababa yung platelets niya, dapat alam ng mga ospital natin kung paano gagamutin ito.
Meanwhile, FDA grants another private hospital a compassionate special permit for the use of ivermectin in COVID-19 patients. But the FDA emphasized that there's no scientific basis yet to prove its efficacy against the virus.
Ang conclusion ng ating so far ng mga experts is that there is insufficient evidence to recommend the use of ivermectin against COVID-19.
Currently, there are 2 private hospitals in the country granted with compassionate special permit on the use of ivermectin. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And the Philippines recorded 10,726 additional COVID-19 cases today, bringing the total tally to 914,971. In its latest bulletin, the Department of Health, or DOH, said this pushed the total number of active cases to 193,476. Of the active cases, 96% were cases, 2.9% were asymptomatic, 0.5% were severe, 0.4% were critical, and 0.30% were moderate. The agency, however, noted that the latest tally does not include data from 6 laboratories that failed to submit their reports on time. The DOH also announced that 650 more patients have recovered from the illness, pushing the total number of recoveries to 705,757. The death toll, on the other hand, rose to 15,738 with 145 new fatalities.
Former President Joseph Ejercito Estrada was brought back to a non-COVID intensive care unit, or ICU, on Thursday night after doctors discovered a bacterial lung infection. His son, former Senator Jingoy Estrada, said his father was moved back to a regular ICU for monitoring and support of his blood pressure, which fluctuated due to the stent infection. Estrada, however, noted that his father remains stable with high-flow oxygen support, and again asked for the public's prayers for his recovery. As hospitals in Metro Manila are now overwhelmed with COVID-19 patients, some infected persons prefer to recuperate at home. But what are the things you should consider before doing this? Nel Marie Bohok has the story.
The hospitals are very strict in their safety protocols when it comes to treating a person with COVID-19. That is why home care of COVID patients is considered dangerous, as other family members could also catch the virus. But given the current state of the healthcare system with hospital running in full capacity, some have no choice but to undergo home treatment. According to the interim guidance of the World Health Organization, not all COVID positive could be provided at home care. It is necessary first to have the clinical evaluation of a doctor if home treatment is recommended. Those who are not suitable for home care are patients who are 60 years old and above and with risk factors for severe disease. On the other hand, asymptomatic or those with mild or moderate disease could be suitable for home isolation and care. According to WHO, caregivers and household members should receive guidance from a trained health worker adhering the following recommendations. Limit the movement of the patient around the house, avoid entering the room of the patient, or maintain the 1 meter distance. Limit the number of caregivers, avoid visitors, perform hand hygiene. Patients and caregivers should always wear masks. Materials used to cover mouth and nose should be discarded or cleaned appropriately. Avoid direct contact with the patient's body fluids. Do not reuse medical masks or gloves. Gloves and protective clothing should be used when cleaning surfaces or handling clothing with body fluids. Clean and disinfect surfaces. Use dedicated eating utensils for the patient. Place contaminated linen in a laundry bag and avoid exposure to contaminated items from the patient's immediate environment. According to Dr. Bong Santiago, a general internist, it is important to consider the ventilation of the COVID patient's room. Always make sure he or she is well hydrated and avoid alcoholic drinks.
Sinasabi sa mga bagong studies ngayon, prone sa COVID infection or recurrent infection ang mga pasyenteng mahihina pong dalan ng pag-inom po ng alak, no?
Patients who are experiencing cold and fever can take over-the-counter medicines.
Kung meron tayong sipon, meron namang mga over-the-counters na pwedeng inumin para sa sipon natin. Ganon din sa mga sore throat na karaniwang complaint ng ating mga patients na may COVID. And yung lagnat naman, of course, kung hydrated tayo, plus the benefit of taking over-the-counter paracetamol, 500 mg para sa mga katandaan, every 4 hours, every 6 hours, pwede namang mainom yan. Over-the-counter, makukuha natin yan.
But still, it is important to strictly monitor the patient's condition as it may need to be hospitalized.
Baka papunta na to sa mga medyo severe symptoms na meron ng ubot-sipon at medyo hirap ng huminga, no? Hindi makakain, may panlalata, mababa ng BP, o kaya may mga sakit ito na dati pag nasa kanila na medyo nagiging uncontrolled. Pag ganitong mga sitwasyon, ganitong kondisyon, most likely they need to be hospitalized.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Department of the Interior and local government is deliberating whether to implement an extension on the cash aid distribution of residents affected by the enhanced community quarantine. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
Some local government units experience challenges in distributing the aid that the national government provided for individuals affected by the re-implementation of enhanced community quarantine. The Department of the Interior and local government said they understand the critical circumstances that the LGUs are facing amid the pandemic.
Mahirap po kasi mamutmut ng pondo sa panahon ng pandemya, no? And ang mga lungsod po ng Quezon City and Manila ay napakadami po nilang kailangan bigyan ng pondo at hindi naman po sila in full capacity precisely because nasa surge po tayo.
The DILG also agreed with Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chairman Benjamin Benhar Abalos Jr. as he discourages to adopt the house-to-house distribution of aid. Abalos explained that an LGU in Bulacan tried it but was able to aid only a few beneficiaries compared to the usual way where LGU designates strategic redemption centers for its distribution.
parang mahihirapan kasi magbahay-bahay kung gagawin ito dahil masyado tatagal ang binibigay na panahon ng DILG, no? Ihingi nga ng extension ng mga alkalde. Siguro gagawa na ng magandang paraan na masira paano yung pagkatawag na lang sa kanila na i-announce sila, i-schedule sila, no, sa ganung paraan.
The DILG is looking to finalize their decision before the earliest deadline of the aid distribution next week. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, or PACC, is already coordinating with the Department of the Interior and local government on complaints with regard to the distribution of the government's cash aid to beneficiaries. Janice Inhente reports.
Around 8,000 complaints on cash aid distribution have been received by the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission. The national government earmarked 1,000 pesos for every beneficiary of the cash aid, or a maximum of 4,000 pesos per household. PACC Chairman Greco Belica, however, said some beneficiaries said they have not received their cash aid. Some of them complained even the names of the dead are included in the barangay's list.
I hope po talaga yung mga nakikinig sa atin ngayon will help each other, mga barangay getting involved with this.
Belica warned local officials that they can be penalized if found involved in corrupt practices. Meanwhile, according to DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya, they have not yet received a report on the anomaly. An incident in Bulacan where recipients were forced to sign a waiver is now under investigation.
As of now, Yusek, ay kino-confirm po muna namin itong report na ito. Kung totoo nga na may waiver at inaantay namin po ang paliwanag ng San Jose del Monte kung if true, bakit sila nag-require ng waiver.
Meanwhile, the DILG says the distribution of cash aid until midnight should not be imposed as a violation of curfew protocols.
Hindi naman po masama kung abutin ng hating gabi. Ang ibig lang pong sabihin nito ay gustong tapusin ng ating mga dispersing officers, no, distribution team, yung pamamahagi ng ayuda so long as nasusunod yung physical distancing and social distancing at mga iba pang mga minimum health standards.
As of now, 3.4 billion pesos has been distributed to beneficiaries in Metro Manila. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The local government of Taguig City launched its third mega vaccination hub at a mall in Bonifacio Global City. Marvin Calas reports.
1,000 individuals can be accommodated by the newly opened mega vaccination hub in Taguig City. Taguig City Mayor Lino Cayetano believes that as many residents are being vaccinated, the more it helps in lowering the number of patients having severe COVID-19 cases in hospitals.
Yung A2 naman, seniors at A3 may comorbidity, they account for the majority of those hospitalized. So sabay ho, habang nag-A1, A2, A3 tayo, kinakapacitate natin yung mga hospital natin, it will work hand in hand. Even before herd immunity, malaki ang epekto nung vaccination ng A1, A2, A3 sa hospitalization.
The local government aims to have partnerships in other malls in the city for additional vaccination centers and further increase its vaccination capacity against COVID-19. Meanwhile, the Interagency Task Force aims to adopt Taguig City's innovation for a tighter implementation of the country's vaccination program.
Nakikita natin na yung innovation talaga, I believe it can be propagated to other provinces. And when I will go to Cavite, Laguna, and I will try to propagate na yung mga malls na i-convert nila dito into vaccination center.
The new vaccination hub is open during weekdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Taguig City LGU also expects to start the vaccination for its general population in August this year. Marvin Calas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police Internal Affairs Service, or PNPES, will no longer interfere in the investigation of police officers who have tested positive for illegal drugs. Naya Ilagan will tell us why.
In a memorandum released by the PNP leadership obtained by UNTV, Regional directors are ordered to conduct an investigation on their personnel who tested positive on illegal drugs. Based on the memo, the Internal Affairs Service will no longer handle these cases. PNP Chief Police General De Bolsina says the purpose of the memo is to expedite the cases and immediately remove airing cops from their service.
Kailangan i-dissolve kaagad ng mga RD, no? Kasi pag nasa area niya, for example, in CRPO could dissolve the case in 2 months' time maximum. We have already directed it to resolve the case maximum. Kasi nandoon na yung tao, nandoon na yung prosecution.
In a text message to UNTV, Pro 4A Director Police Brigadier General Felipe Natividad says he would follow the Chief PNP's directive without sacrificing the due process. Pro 3 or Central Luzon Director Police Brigadier General Val de Leon meanwhile said respondents are given 15 days to submit their counter affidavit, but the whole process can be finished within 60 days or 2 months.
But the 15 days for him to contest, yun lang naman ang nagpapatagal.
Okay, sige.
Tapos pagka na-decision na ng disciplinary authority, yun, kasi siya mag-motion for reconsideration. Pero ano yung motion for consideration mo? It is the subject matter expert that certifies that you are indeed using a drug, no? Hindi mo ma-contest yun, no?
NCRPO Director Police Major General Vicente Danao Jr. is much more eager to dismiss the police who use illegal drugs.
Well, that is their choice, no? Na magpakadroga dyan. Then go ahead. Madali lang pumirma ng discharge order. Okay, sabi ko nga, pinili ninyo yan. Lahat ng mga nai-involved sa mga different illegal activities has been grounded and restricted doon sa ating regional sa RPHAS, no? Sa holding center natin doon. So, choice nila yan. Walang problema. Madaling pumirma ng discharge order.
IAS Inspector General Attorney Alfigar Triambulo, on the other hand, is also in favor of the new directive.
So, ang mga RD kasi may mga powers, discipline, internal discipline yun, kaya dapat sila mag-exercise niyan.
From July 2016 to February 2021, IAS has recommended the dismissal of the 478 police officer for using illegal drugs, of which the highest rank is a police lieutenant colonel. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The National Bureau of Investigation says operatives of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA and the Philippine National Police or PNP committed lapses that transpired to the shootout last February 24 in Commonwealth Quezon City. Dante Amento tells us why.
The NBI assures that certain individuals will be held liable in the misencounter between the PNP and PDEA operatives that led to 4 men dead. NBI Deputy Director and spokesperson Ferdinand Lavin says there were lapses committed both by the PNP and PDEA, particularly on their standard operating protocols.
It would appear that asset sa asset nila ang nag-usap. At bulag yung mga operatiba dito.
Lavin says they are now conducting case analysis on the evidences gathered by their forensic team. Crime scene illustrations are made, such as the respective positions of the operatives who fired shots and a series of events before the shootout transpired.
Now we are doing a human object vehicle movement analysis. Sino pumutok saang anggulo, anong ginamit na baril, sinong tinamaan, saan tumama. And then we are doing also line of sight analysis, yung trajectory.
Results of the forensic analysis will be compared or cross-matched to the statements of involved individuals and witnesses.
Dito natin makita kung tama yung sinasabi nila. Kasi itong basihan namin is forensic science ito.
The NBI is also preparing criminal charges against certain personalities over the bloody misencounter to be filed at the Department of Justice in less than a month. The NBI clarifies that the investigation was hampered after some of their personnel contracted COVID-19 and even the subject individuals. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Bising, with the international name Surigay, has entered the Philippine area of responsibility and intensified into a typhoon this morning. State Weather Bureau Pag-asa says as of 3 p.m., the center of Bising was located at 895 kilometers east of Surigao City, Surigao del Norte. It has a maximum sustained winds of 130 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 160 kilometers per hour while moving west-northwestward. Currently, according to Pag-asa, the typhoon is not directly causing severe weather over any portion of the country. But cloudy skies, scattered rain showers, and thunderstorms will be felt over eastern Visayas, Caraga, and Davao region. Possible flash floods and landslides may occur during moderate to heavy rains. Small sea crafts are also advised to take precautionary measures, as Bising will bring rough to very rough seas over the eastern seaboards of Visayas and Mindanao in the next 24 hours. No tropical cyclone wind signal is raised. The public is advised to watch for Pag-asa's next update at 11 o'clock p.m.
Meanwhile, adverse events following immunization are normal unless it threatens the life of a vaccinee. In the Philippines, those who experience serious are not even at 1% compared to the total number of vaccinees. Aiko Miguel reports why.
With the more than a million Filipino vaccinees, only 2.04% or 25,000 vaccinees have experienced adverse events following immunization. But those who experience serious adverse events are almost 1%. An adverse event can just be considered serious if a vaccine causes disability, life-threatening, or causes death. According to the DOH, there are no reported incidents yet, but there are some cases where vaccinees had difficulty in breathing.
Nakapagbigay tayo ng numero ng adverse events, let's say it's 26,000 ang sinabi ko dyan, ang porsyento po nung serious dyan ay napakaliit. Kapag tinignan naman ho natin yung kabuuan na 26,000 out of the 1-point-something million that we already have vaccinated, napakaliit din po niya.
FDA explains it is after inoculation.
May naramdaman, may sumakit, sumakit ang katawan or nilagnat, and these are common side effects naman that are expected.
Meanwhile, based on the DOH's report last April 15, the case fatality rate in NCR is only at 1.46%. This is far from Octa Research Team's case fatality report in the region, which is 5.4%. The DOH says this is something they have to discuss with Octa.
We compute the case fatality rate based on the number of deaths from this specific disease, yung COVID-19, over the number of confirmed cases. So ganun natin po siya ginagawa ng estimation, and that is based from our epidemiology concepts. No? So ganyan po tayo mag-compute.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
San Juan City has started its vaccination program to patients who recovered from COVID-19. The Department of Health said that COVID-19 survivors need not wait 90 days after they tested positive to get the COVID-19 shot. JP Nunez will tell us why.
Eduardo Hembra, 37 years old and a local caregiver, has been admitted to the hospital last March after testing positive of COVID-19. He felt anxiety as he does not know whether he will survive the disease, knowing he has a heart complication. But weeks later, he recovered.
Noong una, meron akong body aches may mga body pain dito sa shoulder, and then nagkaroon ako ng fever. Mga 3 days yung fever ko, tapos nawala din siya, pero yung ubo ko, meron akong ubo, pero madalang ang ubo ko. Yun nga lang, dry yung ubo. na kung minsan pag umubo ka medyo masakit sa dibdib.
He was just among the COVID-19 survivors in San Juan City to receive their first dose of CoronaVac. In the DOH Memorandum Number 2021-0175, the agency said all vaccine recipients who contracted COVID-19 may be vaccinated after recovery or completion of treatment, whether for first or second dose, without restarting the vaccine dose schedule. Prior to this, people who contracted COVID-19 had to wait 90 days before getting a jab.
Wala namang problemang bigyan ng bakuna ng COVID-19 ay nagkaroon ng COVID-19 infections in the past. Ang mga eksperto natin nung tayo ay nagbigay nung paon ng 90 days ay para lang magkaroon unang-una ng strategy dahil alam natin kulang po yung ating mga supply of resources, no? So our experts, the NITAG, thought it best to recommend na since those people who has recovered from the infection still have their antibodies with them, so it would be prudent na pwede namang ma-delay ang kanilang pagbabakuna at mauna na muna ang iba.
San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora, who also is a COVID survivor, has received his first dose of vaccine.
Ito po isang desisyon na aking ginawa upang mabigyan din ng proteksyon ang aking sarili, ang aking pamilya, mga katrabaho. Lalong-lalo na't ngayon, araw-araw po nagmo-monitor tayo sa pamamahagi ng ayuda.
However, the city government cannot tell yet if how long they can accommodate vaccinations to COVID survivors due to scarcity of supplies. There are only 1,500 doses of CoronaVac vaccines left that could last for 2 days. The city hopes for the immediate arrival of the additional vaccines from the national government. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, a biotechnology company plans to release their genetically modified mosquitoes this spring in the Florida Keys. Nina Bascon reports why.
The biotech company Oxitec is set to release OX5034, the newest version of their genetically modified mosquitoes, which is expected to be released this spring in the Florida Keys. Oxitec says its technology will combat dengue fever and other mosquito-borne viruses such as Zika, mainly transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Native mosquitoes in Florida are increasingly resistant to the most common form of control, insecticide, and scientists say they need new and better techniques to control the insects and the diseases they carry. Oxitec's OX5034 mosquitoes are the first GM mosquitoes approved for release in the U.S. The company has already conducted a trial with the OX5034 mosquitoes in Brazil and released more than 1 billion of previous version. Some experts and residents in Florida want to see a proof of success and consent of local communities before it is released. The company says that their mosquitoes are friendly as they are only releasing males which do not bite humans nor transmit diseases. Nina Bascon, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Tokyo marked 100 days to go until the postponed Summer Olympics amid lingering uncertainty over whether the Games can be staged safely amid the threat of the COVID-19 pandemic. Maeve and Dog will give us the details live. Yes, Maeve, please go ahead.
Mariel, Tokyo celebrated 100 days until the Games begin with the unveiling of the Olympic rings and the Tokyo 2020 Olympic and Paralympic mascots. The colorful statues of Mirai Towa and Somei-T were unveiled outside the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building. According to organizers, Olympic mascot Mirai Towa is inspired by the Japanese proverb, learn from the past and develop new ideas. While Paralympic mascot Somei-T has a calm and quiet presence guided by great inner strength and displays superpowers that embody the toughness and determination of the Paralympic athletes. Meanwhile, Olympic mascot Mirai Towa joined the unveiling ceremony of the Olympic rings on Mount Takao in Hachioji. The ceremony was also accompanied by a ceremonial conchal performance by monks from nearby temples. International Olympic Committee's Coordination Commission Chair John Coates also spoke about the milestone, saying that the Games will be a celebration of solidarity, the unity of humankind, and of resilience. Foreign spectators have already been barred from attending the games, which open on July 23, while competitors will stay in the Athletes' Village in Tokyo's Chuo Ward, which is expected to house 15,000 people for more than 200 countries and will face regular virus testing. Tokyo 2020 Olympics President Seiko Hashimoto explained the playbooks developed by the International Olympic Committee and Tokyo 2020 will be updated to include more detail and reflect the latest expert advice for a safe and successful games. Those are the updates on the Tokyo 2020 Olympics that will begin on July 23, 2021. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Mavian Dog, reporting live. SpaceX is gearing up for its third Dragon launch in under a year after getting the green light from NASA. Marvi Delfin will give us the details live. Yes, Marvi, good evening.
Riel, SpaceX and NASA are preparing to send the second operational crew mission to the International Space Station for a dawn liftoff from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida next Thursday. If everything goes to plan, SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft on its third trip is expected to dock around 5:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. To make room, the astronauts currently on board the ISS cleared a parking spot for the new crew. The Endeavour will carry Crew 2, which will include NASA astronauts Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur, who will serve as the mission's spacecraft commander and pilot, along with Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Akihiko Hoshide and European Space Agency astronaut Thomas Pesquet, who will serve as mission specialists. The astronauts have already begun to quarantine as a precaution during the COVID-19 pandemic. After the launch, the Falcon 9 rocket used to launch the Crew Dragon capsule will return itself to Earth. This marks the first time a crew flight uses a recycled Falcon rocket and Dragon capsule, which were both designed for reuse. The public can attend the launch virtually, receive mission updates, and opportunities normally reserved for on-site guests. Back to you, Marielle.
All right, Marvi, thank you for that live report. Meanwhile, the humanitarian and economic crisis unleashed by the eruption of a volcano on the Caribbean islands of St. Vincent will last months and could extend to nearby islands. Abel Ciliano will tell us why live.
The United Nations is set to launch a funding appeal to support St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where ongoing volcanic explosions continue to disrupt life in the Caribbean island nation and nearby countries. Didier Tribuc, the United Nations coordinator for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, said that the volcano, which had not erupted since 1979, remains active and every day belches up clouds of ash and smoke after erupting on April 9. Tribuc said that it was hard to know how long the crisis will last. The UN official warned nearby islands including Barbados, Antigua, and Barbuda could also be badly affected. The UN says about 4,000 of those displaced are now living in 87 shelters, many of which lack basic services such as drinking water. Others have moved in with family or friends, and some have taken boats to neighboring islands.
We had filled 1 drum of water, and that would have been for the household. So now we had to use that to also do things for the persons themselves. So right now our water supply is at, I was here and I could see.
Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves said that despite the dangers, many residents were choosing to stay on the island rather than be evacuated by ship. Abel Ciliano, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
Google Earth has just released its biggest update in years, and that is the addition of one new layer in the application, which is time. Olga Chelian explains why.
Google Earth launched a new feature which is called Timeline that enables you to see how the planet has changed over the decades. Using millions of gathered satellite images from 1984 up to present to provide the user a stunning view on how the planet has changed from the past 37 years. People can see the changes of the forests, the oceans, and our cities over time. Images used by Google to generate this stunning feature were sourced from NASA's Landsat and the European Union's Copernicus programs. The 24 million images date back as far as 1984 and take up to 20 petabytes, 20 million gigabytes of storage space, and quadrillions of pixels. Together, they make one single video 4.4 terapixels in size, something Google said is the equivalent of more than 500,000 4K ultra high resolution videos. Google is heavily marketing the tool as a way to raise awareness of climate change and other environmental issues. The company is also hoping the timeline feature can provide users with a tangible sense of how our planet is changing and why we need to protect it. Paul Gatchalian, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza, live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
And those are the reasons behind the news, April 16, 2021. I am Harleen Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.